Today, I'm sharing with you my biggest fitness wins despite asthma and the 3 principles that I use every single day to beat the odds. These principles have transformed me from scared 4-year-old kid who has been told that he can never play the sport he loves by his doctor to an elite race-winning ultrarunner with asthma. And these 3 principles are going to transform you in your life as well. Before I get into the 3 principles that have empowered me to beat the odds and become an elite athlete, I want to share with you my 5 biggest fitness achievements. The first one is, as a kid, I was told that I would never play soccer. At 4 years old, my doctor said, "Johnny, you have asthma. You should not play soccer. You need to find another sport like baseball or maybe stay away from sports in general." I was crushed. Soccer was everything for me. It was time to spend with my friends. It was time for me to have a creative, athletic, energetic outlet. I loved soccer. My parents knew that, and they knew their son didn't have to live by limitations of asthma. So they helped me find alternative medicine doctors who had a different story to tell me. Now, no matter what I say on this podcast, on my YouTube channel, I have a disclaimer for you. It is linked in the description and show notes. I'm not a healthcare professional. You need to talk with your doctor or healthcare professional before implementing anything I talk about into your life, just to be safe. Disclaimer in the show notes and in the video description. Ultimately, I came up with a strategy. I'm going to share that strategy later in the episode. But my first fitness win was playing soccer year-round as a starter for 15 years. Through high school. This may be the biggest fitness achievement that I had in my life. Going from that 4-year-old thinking he's never going to play his favorite sport to playing his favorite sport for 15 years. And the only reason why I stopped is I had other focuses in my life in college. I actually played ultimate frisbee, got into running a little bit. Number 2. I rode my bike 110 miles with 10,000 vertical feet of gain. Growing up, my father was a huge cyclist. He did all the major rides in Colorado, ranging from the Courage Classic to Ride the Rockies. Ride the Rockies being a week of 100-mile days through beautiful mountains, town to town. In my 20s, I was a huge cyclist. And I was told once again by doctors that cycling 100 miles probably wasn't in the cards for someone with asthma. Well, I worked my way up, built tons of miles, had super strong lungs from soccer, and the peak of my cycling career was biking 110 miles with 10,000 vertical feet on poorly kept county roads through the mountains of Colorado with my friend Roger. This was an amazing experience. At mile 70, I wanted to give up. At mile 90, I had a jolt of energy. At mile 100, It was on, I was getting to the end, I sprinted the last 10 miles. I believe it was called the Mountain Experience Ride. Only 100, maybe 200 riders. Number 3, I have climbed 30 plus 14ers in Colorado. What's a 14er? A 14er is a 14,000-foot mountain above sea level. We have more than 50 of these in Colorado. Some are a little outside my comfort zone from an exposure perspective. Growing up, along with having asthma, I was terrified of heights. To this day, I am afraid of heights. And that's why I haven't climbed all 50, is because there are some 14ers that are too dangerous for me. Visually, when you're up there, I get vertigo, which means that on top of having to worry about an asthma attack, I have to worry about a panic attack. A panic attack plus asthma attack happened to me on Missouri Mountain. I ran up it by myself. I was on my way down. I hit this part that really wasn't technical at all. I just started getting in my head with how exposed it was. Exposed means you look right, you look left, you slip, you're falling 2,000 feet to your death. Well, this happened to me as I was descending. I started having a panic attack and then I started having an asthma attack. Thank God I had my inhaler with me, and thank God that there were other people on the mountain, and I actually asked for this one man's help. He was hiking. I was kind of sitting there, holding on, and I said, "Hey man, I'm having a panic attack. I need you to talk me off of this thing." He helped talk me through it. I ran the rest of the way down. Whew, scary experience. I've climbed 30 plus of these 14,000-foot mountains multiple times. One mountain I've climbed double digits. Numerous 13,000-foot mountains I've climbed almost every single one without using my inhaler. Number 4, I completed what I call the CorePower Yoga Ultra Marathon, which means I actually ran more than 26.2 miles. I ran 26.84 miles plus 2 yoga sculpt classes. These are 60 minutes long each. One was at 10:30, one was at 1:30. So I had basically a 2-hour break in between. Did some of my miles during that break as well. I did all this in under 8 hours. I ran from my house in Morrison, Colorado, to CorePower Yoga in Belmar, about 10, 11 miles. I did 2 classes, ran some miles in between the classes, and then ran home. And I hit 26.84 miles. This was really when I became an ultra runner. At this point, I had already ran a 50-mile race, struggled through it, finished it in 13 hours, a little over 13 hours. I'd done multiple marathons, I'd done a 50K. This is really when I became an ultra runner. And that brings me to my 5th biggest fitness win despite asthma. And it is winning the Bear Chase 100K Ultra. First place, male. Second, overall. So I'm going to be by 30, 35 minutes. amazing athlete. My hat off to her. Lisa, you're amazing. I hope I see you on the trail again. Loved racing with you. I talk about this in other podcast episodes and videos on my YouTube channel. Look up my 100K Ultra races and hear how I'm training for my 100K plus Ultra this year, aiming to set the course record for the Chase the Moon 12-hour solo endurance run, running as many miles as I can in 12 hours, starting at 7 p.m., ending at 7 a.m., aiming for the course record. Let's go. Now, how did I beat the odds? And how can you beat the odds too? Well, the first principle, first of three, progressive overload. You have the power to integrate progressive overload into your life starting today. You are strong. You are a powerful human. You have powerful lungs. And now you have the first principle, progressive overload. What is progressive overload? Progressive overload is when you incrementally strengthen your lungs and body through movement. You can technically do progressive overload with anything, but let's use running as an example. If you want to progressively overload your body to become an elite runner, to run that 5K that you've always wanted to run that 10K you've always wanted to run, that marathon, that ultra marathon, you got to start somewhere. Let's say that on this end of the scale, if you're listening to this as a podcast, got a line here. 0 is on one side. We're going to put marathon on the other side. So we have 0 to marathon. 0 miles, 26.2 miles. How do we go from 0 to marathon? Well, progressively overloading our body. So if you've never ran before, then what we want to do is we want to start by doing 1 mile. And maybe we just want to walk that mile. Then after we have walked that mile, then we can integrate running. Maybe run 1/10 of that mile. Next time we go and take that walk run, we do 15% of that mile. We progressively add to the exercise we're doing. Eventually, we get up to the other end of this scale where we're completing our first marathon. First marathon I ever did, I walked 10 miles. I ran 16. Second marathon I ever did, I ran about 24 miles, walked 2. Eventually, I ran the whole thing. When I did my 50-mile race back in 2023, I walked 10 or 15 of those miles. When I won my race back in 2024, I walked maybe 1 mile out of 62 miles because I had a cramp in my left hamstring. Progressive overload. We're progressively improving and strengthening our bodies. Another example, soccer. When I was a kid, I was told to use my inhaler before, during, and after practice, and obviously during games. Well, what I trained myself to do was instead of taking my inhaler before practice, I'd only take it when I needed it. So I stopped taking it before practice. So I would start practicing, I would start doing the drills, and I'd make it 5-10 minutes, and then I'd feel my asthma symptoms come on, and then I'd take my inhaler. That's progressive overload right there. I went from taking it before practice, so having albuterol in my system before I even started, to I'm gonna challenge my lungs for as long as I can until I need my inhaler. Did that for a couple weeks, and then guess what? It took me 15 or 20 minutes until I needed my inhaler. Eventually, I got to the point where I wouldn't need my inhaler at all. I kept adding more time. I went from needing it 5-10 minutes into a game to not needing it at all. Incremental. On one end, we have inhaler time, like when are you taking your inhaler, to no inhaler. We'll say that this is before we even exercise, and this is just none on this side. It's the same thing. If you're listening to this, we have one end of the scale. We have inhaler use before even doing anything. The other end of the scale, we have no inhaler use. And we're progressively overloading towards no inhaler use. Principle number 2, consistency. It took me more than 10,000 miles for me to become an elite ultra runner, winning my race last year. I put 2,000 to 3,000 miles on my feet, on my body, on my lungs every year, running now. And it took me 4 or 5 years of running to get to this point. I haven't always put that many miles on, but in the past 2 or 3 years, that is the type of mileage I'm putting on. Consistency. So you can progressively overload your body, but if you don't consistently keep exercising, keep your lungs strong, then you could progressively overload your body for a couple months, or for a soccer season, or for a training cycle. And then you stop for 3 or 4 months, or even a month, and you're going to start feeling your asthma come back. For me, it only takes 1 or 2 weeks if I stop completely. I know you have amazing goals, and I want you to attain them. Believe in yourself, progressively overload, and stay consistent. It is the little things you do every day, the mile that you run, the mile you walk, that soccer practice, that dribbling drill, the little things compound. For me, I shared with you my 5 biggest fitness wins despite asthma. Well, those wins were backed by consistency. Tens of thousands of miles, hours. You got this. 1 mile, 1 minute, 1 breath at a time. Number 3, never give up. Back in 2022, I ran my second official marathon. I'd done multiple non-official marathons at this point. I was 40 pounds overweight. I didn't know it at the time. I knew it after the race because I was slower than I had ever ran a marathon other than the first marathon I ever did. I thought I was in better shape. I had more miles under me. I probably had another 2,000 to 3,000 miles on my shoes, lungs, body between my first and second marathon, and I ran my second official marathon slower, and it was at sea level versus my first official one was a mile above sea level. That should be harder. I didn't give up. I integrated what I teach now, the 3 pillars of healthy living: movement, accountability, and tracking. I teach this in my Healthy Living Guide, linked in the show notes and in the description below the video on YouTube. Or you can go to www.athletewithasthma.com/healthy-living-guide and grab your free copy today. This allowed me to lose 40 pounds, keep it off, live a healthier life, and become an elite athlete. I never gave up. Consistent movement, tracking, accountability, having people in my corner pushing me. I am in your corner pushing you, and I know you can achieve your goals with progressive overload, consistency, and never giving up. In 2023, I ran my first 50-mile race. This was my first main race after losing 40 pounds, and I did complete it. Finishers, I was 29th out of 50. I ran the race in 13 hours. I walked a lot. I was miserable. I couldn't walk for a day after. I was crawling around, and I said I'd never run a marathon again. Maybe I would run short distance, but I'd never run again. A couple months later, I got excited. I decided I'm not giving up. I put together the CorePower Ultra Marathon. I did it in less than 8 hours. I was pumped up. I signed up for the 100K I put 9 months of hard training into the 100K, and I won it because I didn't give up. Progressive overload, consistency, never get up. You will achieve your goals. I'll see you in the next one.